Afenyo Markin and his followers have consciously chosen to disregard the Auditor General's confirmation that GoldBod did not record an operational loss. They now claim that the Auditor General did not have access to the full picture concerning the operations of the Gold.
A catastrophic collapse leading to severe consequences for the people of Ghana. It led to a spiral in the cost of living, and things became unbearable. It was clear at the time that something needed to be done in order to stem that disastrous tide. So President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC committed to establishing the GoldBod as a tool to reverse this perennial and historic crisis for our national currency. And since its inception, it has done enormous work to ensure that our currency is bolstered. It has brought in billions of dollars to shore up our reserves and protect the Ghana cedi. But in the last few weeks, the GoldBod has come under a war of attrition waged by the opposition led by its minority. And many untruths have been peddled, facts have been distorted, and generally there has been some overripe embellishment of what the true facts are. So today we want to seize this opportunity to afford a platform to the GoldBod to deal with these matters frontally, decisively, once and for all. So we are happy to have the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana GoldBod, Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, to speak to these matters and answer any questions that may linger in the minds of media men and women present. Now, without taking any more of your time, let me invite Mr. Sammy Gyamfi to the microphone to give us what he has. Thank you very much. So it is my understanding that there are a few stations who need to tweak their systems in order to go live. So you have a minute to do that. Once we have indication, we will go live. Thank you very much. Okay.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. I thank you for the opportunity afforded us through this esteemed platform to engage regularly with the good people of Ghana on matters of national interest. Your collaboration with the Ghana GoldBod since our establishment in April of 2025 is deeply appreciated. Our partnership has contributed significantly to the successful implementation of the mandate of the GoldBod, aimed at creating real value for the people of Ghana and maximizing national benefits from the exploitation and management of the gold resources of our dear country. Today's engagement, ladies and gentlemen, is simply intended to address a number of baseless allegations and deliberate falsehoods concerning the operations and financial health of the Ghana GoldBod that have been propagated by certain individuals in recent times. Of particular concern is a persistent campaign of lies being waged by one Alexander Afenyo Markin and his ilk against the GoldBod over the past couple of months. This sustained, relentless campaign reached a reckless crescendo yesterday at a press conference addressed by him within the precincts of Parliament. Afenyo Markin's modus operandi, which can no longer be allowed to go unanswered, is to repeat the same tired falsehoods as often as possible and on many platforms as he can, in the hope that repetition will somehow transform fiction into facts and mislead unsuspecting members of the public. The GoldBod therefore deems it necessary that the record be set straight once and for all to prevent him and others like him from continuing to distort the remarkable performance and transformational impact of the Ghana GoldBod. First, ladies and gentlemen, Afenyo Markin and his followers alleged on several occasions on the floor of Parliament and in the media that the GoldBod made losses in its gold trade operations in the year 2025. This claim is a barefaced lie, which has been debunked time without number by the GoldBod. The audited annual reports and financial statements of the GoldBod for the year ended December 31st, 2025, prepared and published by the Auditor General of Ghana, discloses an operational surplus of 907 million Ghana cedis and an overall surplus of profit of 5.4 billion Ghana cedis. This is an incontrovertible fact. And today, to settle this matter once and for all, I brought to this auditorium a copy of the annual report and financial statements of the GoldBod, prepared and published by the Auditor General, not Sammy Gyamfi and the GoldBod. We don't audit ourselves. Now, if you check page 12 of this report, you will see that the GoldBod on its own, from its own operations, generated total revenue of close to 1 billion Ghana cedis and kept expenditure just around 109 million Ghana cedis. And so that is what we mean by operational profit or surplus of 907 million. It means that if you took all the revenue we generated as an organization and you deducted our expenditure from it, we had 907 million left. Now, because in the 2025 budget statement, government budgeted a revolving seed capital as its equity for the newly established GoldBod of 4.5 billion Ghana cedis, which monies hit our accounts on or about 30th of December 2025. Those funds had to be added to the revenue of the GoldBod because they were not encumbered, they were not depleted, they were not dissipated. And that is why the overall surplus is 5.4 billion. And this reporting was done by the Auditor General under what is known as IFSAS guidelines. And the chartered accountants and auditors understand this very well. So we brought 50 copies and we are going to distribute to you the audited financials of the GoldBod for 2025 as prepared and published by the Auditor General of Ghana, which puts to rest the false claim that the GoldBod has been making losses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, unsurprisingly, Afenyo Markin and his followers have consciously chosen to disregard the Auditor General's confirmation that GoldBod did not record an operational loss. They now claim that the Auditor General did not have access to the full picture concerning the operations of the GoldBod. This position, ladies and gentlemen, betrays either a crass lack of understanding of how an external audit is conducted or a deliberate determination to undermine yet another independent state institution, independent constitutional body, when its findings do not suit their mischievous narratives. I invite you, the media, you who are the fourth estate of the realm, to check the veracity of this claim with the Auditor General, and you will come to the conclusion that officials of the Auditor General were given unhindered access to all relevant information in the conduct of their audit of the 2025 financials of the Ghana GoldBod. All documents requested by them were supplied, and all queries raised by them in their management letter were satisfactorily answered. This is why not a single, and I repeat, not a single adverse audit finding was made by the Auditor General in its 2025 audited report on the GoldBod, not on imaginary or hallucinatory losses, not on procurement breaches or breaches of the Public Financial Management Act. Not a single adverse finding in the report of the Auditor General on accounts for the year 2025. The media, I humbly submit, must not condone and entertain the deliberate propagation of lies in the face of glaring evidence to the contrary. Now, friends from the media, after adducing these indisputable findings of the Auditor General to puncture the lie that the GoldBod made losses in 2025, Gyamfi and his associates quickly abandoned this line of attack and have now sought refuge in the recently published IMF report on the Bank of Ghana's on Ghana's standard credit facility, in which the IMF reported that the Bank of Ghana recorded a loss of $1.7 billion under its domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Their position has now conveniently changed from the old false narrative that the GoldBod made losses to the new false narrative, which is that the GoldBod is responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. First, nowhere in the under-referenced IMF reports is GoldBod accused by the IMF as having caused the losses reported to have been incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. I challenge Gyamfi to point to any page, paragraph, sentence, phrase, or punctuation mark in the said reference reports of the IMF where the GoldBod was accused by the IMF as the entity responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, what the IMF report states is that Bank of Ghana incurred losses through the sale of gold under its domestic gold purchase program of $400 million in the year 2024 and $1.7 billion in the year 2025. And that the 2025 loss of $1.7 billion was as a result of, I'm quoting the IMF verbatim, the scaling up of the domestic gold purchase program, not incompetence or mismanagement. According to the IMF, that loss was as a result of the scaling up, the expansion of the program. The IMF also stated that these accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects. In particularizing what the IMF considers to be components of this loss, the IMF listed three things, which included fees paid to the GoldBod under the domestic gold purchase program. This is the true context within which the name of the GoldBod featured relative to losses under the DGPP in the other reference IMF reports. So I want to read the relevant portions of that report, because most of the times they come in the media and they say the IMF has said that GoldBod has made a loss of 1.7 billion, and nobody questions them to point out which part of the IMF report said that. They say that the IMF says that GoldBod is the reason for the loss, and nobody questions them to provide the proof. And we are all talking about IMF report, IMF report. The fact checkers must get to work. What does this IMF report say? Now let's first of all start with the seat review on the ECF, that report published by the IMF just a few weeks ago. And the provision in that report on domestic gold purchase program can be found on page 27, paragraph 50. This is what the IMF said. The domestic gold purchase program weighed on the financial sustainability of the BOG. The DGPP, which is the short form of domestic gold purchase program, on which the BOG relied to accumulate reserves to intermediate effects to the private sector, has generated losses of 22 billion, which is 1.5% of GDP in 2025. a government cost-sharing agreement at end 2025 involving the transfer of bonds with a par value of 5 billion cedis in March 2026 resulted in the breach of the ceiling on BOG claims on the central government and public entities at the end of December 2025 and end March 2026. In July 2026, the BOG GoldBod and the government signed a memorandum of understanding formalizing the transfer of the domestic gold purchase program activities from the BOG to GoldBod and eliminating related BOG quasi-fiscal risk. An external auditing firm is conducting a special audit of the domestic gold purchase program from its inception, and the inception is 2021, whose results should be available in 2026 Q3. Domestic gold purchase program related losses coupled with high cost of OP market operations and exchange rate valuation losses resulting from CD appreciation worsened the BOG's negative equity position to 6.7% of GDP. This is what they said about domestic gold purchase program. Nowhere in this report is GoldBod accused as having caused any loss incurred by Bank of Ghana. The second and last is the IMF report on selected issues, which was published on the 4th of August. Paragraph 13 of that report speaks about the domestic gold purchase program, and that is what it says. DGPP operations have generated significant losses for BOG. Losses in 2024. So if you are watching me, you should be asking yourself whether there was GoldBod in 2024. Losses in 2024 were equivalent to almost $400 million, 0.5% of GDP, 1/3 of which were related to gold for oil. In 2025, the significant scaling up of domestic gold purchase operations led to losses of over $1.7 billion. So the IMF tells you what led to the losses. They are saying the significant scaling up of the program. It is there, black and white. Then, almost entirely related to G4R Dory purchases. This amounted to a loss of 17% of the value of Dory gold sold by the BOG. Losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service. This was the only reference to the GoldBod here. So listen, losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and asset fees paid to GoldBod, discounts on gold sold to off-takers, and most importantly, exchange rate losses from the spread between Forest Bureau rates paid to purchase gold and the CD reference rate used for BOG accounting. Survey data suggests that Ghanaian ASGM prices are among the highest in the region. These accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects rather than economic cost. Blah, blah, blah. These are the relevant portions. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the words of the IMF. Not to suggest that the words of the IMF are sacrosanct, but it is important for us not to attribute to the IMF what they have not said. They have not said that the GoldBod is the one that caused the Bank of Ghana to lose $1.7 billion, as I have clearly demonstrated to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, aside the fact that the new false narrative of Athenio Marking grossly misrepresents the IMF's of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program is bereft of fact and common sense. This fallacy is anchored on the claim that, number one, the Ghana GoldBod participated in the purchase and aggregation of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Therefore, Ghana GoldBod is responsible for losses under the program. This is their logic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the GoldBod's role under the domestic gold purchase program in 2025 was simply a continuation of the inherited role of the defunct PMMC under the gold purchase agreement with the Bank of Ghana, signed in September 2023, under which the PMMC served as a gold buying agent for the BOD. And today I brought a copy of that gold purchase agreement that the PMMC signed with the Bank of Ghana in September 2023, when Sammy Gyamfi was National Communications Officer for the NDC in opposition. This buying agent role was limited to only the purchase of gold for the Bank of Ghana on agreed terms. The PMMC or GoldBod fulfilled this obligation in strict accordance with these obligations under the 2023 gold purchase agreement and fully accounted for all advances it was given in 2025, a total of about 133 billion Ghana cedis. That was given to PMMC, later became GoldBod, to buy gold as a buying agent, fully accounted for 133 billion Ghana cedis. The PMMC, GoldBod had no role in the sale of gold by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. It was not a signatory to any offtake agreements under the domestic gold purchase program. Neither was it involved in determining selling prices or sale terms. In commodity trading, profit is simply a function of selling price minus cost. The IMF states that the reported losses stem from the sale of gold by the Bank of Ghana, not the sale of gold by the PMMC. If the PMMC, which later became GoldBod, had no role in the sale of gold it purchased, then it cannot be said to be responsible for losses incurred through the sale of gold by the BOG, simply because it bought gold as a buying agent and was paid fees. In any case, the under reference IMF report says that the BOG incurred a loss of $400 million from gold sales under the domestic gold purchase program in the year 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, there was no GoldBod in the year 2024. Who then caused that loss? Can Afenyomakin answer this simple question? If we are to accept his argument that losses under domestic gold purchase program are attributable to buying agents, then is Afenyomakin saying that buying agents in 2024 caused the loss of $400 million? And those buying agents were the PMMC and a private company called Resafire. So why are they not blaming PMMC and Resafire for causing $400 million loss to the Bank of Ghana? Also, in 2025, the Bank of Ghana used a private aggregator called Resafire to buy and aggregate gold under the domestic gold purchase program from January to May 20. assay services rendered by the National Assayer, PMMC, or if you like, GoldBod, and serves as IGF for the institution. All gold exporters, and I repeat, all gold exporters between 2022 and 2025, whether private or public, and for the public institutions, Bank of Ghana, Minerals Income Investment Fund, who were also implementing a gold for forex program, all these people, private gold exporters, Indians, Chinese, Ghanaians, all of them paid the same assay fee of 0.258% to the National Assayer because it was approved by Parliament under the Fees and Charges Act. And assaying gold is not free. It costs us money, consumables, workers, machines to assay gold. And that is why we must be paid an assay fee. It is not free money. Let's understand that. The service fee of 0.5% paid the GoldBod in 2025 was also the same fee paid the PMMC and all other aggregators of the Bank of Ghana under the Domestic Gold Purchase Program from 2022 to 2025. This fee is also not free money. As the name suggests, the Bank of Ghana agreed to pay a service fee in the year 2023 to all its aggregators, PMMC and Sapphire, to cover the cost of transportation, security, insurance, and smelting losses incurred through the aggregation of gold from the 13 mining regions of Ghana for the Bank of Ghana by its buying agents. And I will give you incontrovertible evidence to that effect. This is their own agreement. They marked it confidential. I don't see why they should have marked this September 2023 gold purchase agreement as confidential. It's a matter of public interest. So I will show you what that so-called service fee is all about and whether or not it is Sammy Gyamfi who has come to impose a service fee on Bank of Ghana, which has now caused the Bank of Ghana to incur losses. This is page 10 of that agreement, and if you need a copy, I'll give you a copy. And if you look at clause 6.3, sub-clause 13, in fact, let me start from sub-clause 12. Buyer, the buyer is Bank of Ghana, and the agent is PMMC. Buyer shall bear the cost of assay, which shall be the prevailing rate of assaying Dory gold. The assay invoice shall be submitted to the buyer on the first week of every month for payment. 13. Buyer shall bear the buying agent service charge. The buying agent service charge into bracket operational cost of 0.5% of the utilized portion of advance funds for acting as buying agent or buyer, unless otherwise agreed in writing between the parties. The service charge or fee shall cater for logistics and transport cost, insurance, security, smelting loss, and trade margins. The service charge or fee shall be reviewed annually by both parties as market conditions changes. This is in the 2023 gold purchase agreement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if the GoldBod is to blame for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana in 2025 because it was paid a legitimate fee for its services, who then caused the losses of the Bank of Ghana in 2022, 2023, and 2024 under the Domestic Gold Purchase Program? Means that all the people the Bank of Ghana paid fees to, the same fee, they caused the loss. That is what they are saying. Was it the PMMC or the Sapphire? Afenyo Marking should answer this question too. Is he saying that losses incurred by MEF in their gold trade or any other private gold exporter is attributable to the PMMC or GoldBod because we charge and we're paid a lawful fee approved by Parliament for our assay fees? Then we should be charging Parliament rather for causing the loss because Parliament approved the fees. Ladies and gentlemen, are losses incurred by GoldBod blamed on its license buying companies because they are paid a margin of 12.75% on the producer price? This same buying agent arrangement between Bank of Ghana, Sapphire, PMMC, GoldBod is the same arrangement that governs how cocoa is purchased. And what is that arrangement? GoldBod gives seed money to license buying companies that go and buy cocoa. And when you bring the cocoa, I'll pay you a margin of 12, not 0.5, 12.75%. So it means that every year when GoldBod declares losses, we should blame the losses on license buying companies because they will pay fees. That is the paucity of reasoning being canvassed by Afenyo Marken and his followers. Is it right for an exporter or trader or business who incur, like media houses, you have businesses, you have service providers, you have agents who you pay fees, your technicians, your plumbers. The fee you pay is part of your cost, and you are therefore supposed to ensure that your revenue, or if you are trading a commodity, your selling price is enough to cater your cost. If you don't do that and you get a loss, you don't blame your plumber or your technician or your service providers who performed services and were paid fees for their services as a reason for your loss. Where in the world is one body corporate blamed for accounting losses incurred by another independent, separate and distinct body corporate without any evidentiary basis? Ladies and gentlemen, the IMF says that reported losses under the domestic gold purchase program in 2025 largely stem from the spread between Forex Bureau rate paid to purchase gold and the CD reference rate used for BOG's accounting. And that since GoldBod, MPP says, not the MPP, the Afenyo Marken, says, because GoldBod was the one buying the gold, then GoldBod should be blamed because of the gap between the Forex Bureau rate and the Bank of Ghana rate. The answer is very simple. The September 2023 gold purchase agreement that I've shown you, which predates Sammy Gyamfi and the GoldBod in this conversation, provides for the price and exchange rate at which gold is to be bought by PMMC and, for that matter, every buying agent. These are express prescriptions of the principle captured in a signed contract that predates the GoldBod. A buying agent cannot vary agreed terms in a written contract without consequences. Afenyo Marken should tell Ghanaians at what price and exchange rate was gold bought by buying agents such as PMMC and RSFI. And I'm going to publish that tomorrow. They were buying gold at exchange rates as high as 17 Ghana cedis in 2024. So when you agents were buying gold at 17 Ghana cedis to the dollar, because you had so mismanaged the economy that at some point you needed 16, 17 cedis to get a dollar. And that is the exchange rate at which you were buying gold. You are saying that PMMC was causing losses for the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana designed under the domestic gold purchase program that because they were in crisis and they needed foreign exchange, they will buy gold at the exchange rate. That gold has been bought since we started mining gold over a century ago. This is not the creation of GoldBod, which was established in April 2025. Then the fourth claim under this new theory that, GoldBod has not made losses, but GoldBod is responsible for losses made by Bank of Ghana. They say that the reported domestic gold purchase program losses stems from GoldBod's trade model and that the program was implemented through the GoldBod in 2025. So GoldBod is responsible. Ladies and gentlemen, although the GoldBod was established in April 2025, it was not until March 2026 that it commenced the implementation of its trade model envisaged under the GoldBod Act. This is because the GoldBod received its revolving seed capital budgeted for it in the 2025 budget as late as 30th December 2025. Also, the GoldBod had to put in place the necessary institutional measures and systems before takeoff. The trade model implemented by the Bank of Ghana in the year 2025, which the IMF has reported on, was evidently the domestic gold purchase program model. When did the domestic gold purchase program become GoldBod's trade model? And how can the domestic gold purchase program that the MPP in the past have given the credit, to Bawumia for, be said to be arising, losses under that program be said to be arising from a GoldBod model, when the GoldBod model only started in March 2026? Because of what I've already explained, our seed capital coming as late as 30th December 2025, and the need for us to put in place the necessary institutional, systems and framework before takeoff. Then they make another claim in their press statement that the reported domestic good purchase program losses is partly caused by hidden offtake discounts determined by GoldBod. The answer is also very simple. As I've already explained, ladies and gentlemen, the PMMC or GoldBod was only a buying agent under the domestic good purchase program. Its role ended at buying gold. It had no role in selling gold or signing offtake agreements. Therefore, it could not determine offtake discounts. It must, however, be noted that offtake discounts are a standard feature of gold doré trades. The BOG did extremely well in 2025 in reducing offtake discounts from as high as 2.2% in 2024 under the MPP to 1.2% in 2025. This fact can be verified by anyone from the BOG, and this discount, offtake discount, cannot by any stretch of imagination be the reason for reported losses, because discounts are a standard feature for particularly the sale of doré gold, raw gold, anywhere in the world. You sell gold, if you're selling gold in its raw form, and even in its refined form, there is a discount. And you don't see that losses are as a result of that, unless you can show that the discounts were unreasonably high and not in conformity with industry practice. Now, other false claims that I'll deal with quickly and then I'll conclude. The GoldBod, the Afenyomakin says that the GoldBod has sold gold and made losses, and that no one should sell gold and make losses. When they turn gold boka, says those who recorded $400 million loss under domestic gold purchase program in 2024, according to the IMF they are quoting. And this is also coming from the same people under whose tenure another state institution, MEF, implemented the gold purchase program and recorded losses to the tune of over $90 million. Today, they want to give us lectures on gold trading. Ladies and gentlemen, I have news for them. We will not take moral lessons from the brothel. Then number two, they say, why has the Bank of Ghana pulled out of financing the GoldBod if GoldBod is not making losses? Number one, the Bank of Ghana has not pulled out from anything. The MPP government decided that it will run a program called Domestic Gold Purchase Program, which will be managed by the Bank of Ghana. And they designed that program in a certain way, which I will talk about it. President Mahama promised to reset Ghana, including the gold trade sector. And his reset is the GoldBod. The act has been passed and the GoldBod is ready for takeoff. And so this new GoldBod model, as envisioned under the GoldBod Act, is not anchored on Bank of Ghana financing GoldBod. The GoldBod has been given the powers under Section 18 of the GoldBod Act by Parliament to raise money for itself from the financial markets. And so if the GoldBod wants to assert that statutory mandate, and for that matter, the Bank of Ghana has to end what it was doing under the domestic gold purchase program, you don't look at that and say, oh, that means GoldBod was doing something wrong. I can tell you that as we speak, the IMF and the Bank of Ghana are all engaging GoldBod that they still want to be our fiscal agents under the GoldBod model, where they will be raising money for us as an intermediary. It is the GoldBod that is rather saying, no, we will do it ourselves. So that claim is not true. And then you hear him say that, oh, GoldBod was being paid some fees, and it is because of the noise they made that the fees were reduced. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I brought evidence here, and if you need the evidence, I'll give it to you. That evidence is a letter dated October 29, 2025, way before the MPP ever held a press conference on GoldBod or domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Because the first press conference they held in the aftermath of the IMF report on domestic gold purchase program was in December. If you recall, we were celebrating Christmas at the time, December 2025. But by October 29, 2025, the GoldBod and Bank of Ghana, through negotiations, had reduced the fees to 0.6. Does that mean there was something wrong? No. What it meant was that the GoldBod was more efficient in aggregating gold, that it didn't need 0.75%. We conceded upon request by Bank of Ghana that we could do with little and still achieve better results. And number two, the quantity of gold we're buying had gone up, and gold prices have skyrocketed, and therefore even if we reduce our fees, we knew that we could still cater for ourselves. So that was an act of patriotism and not because of the noise of a rabble-rouser. Now, number 4, and I'm wrapping up. They say, oh, GoldBod takes credit for the upside of the domestic gold purchase program, but the GoldBod does not take the blame for the downside. So we are being double standard. The GoldBod has not taken any credit for any upside of any domestic gold purchase program. We are saying that President Mahamad's vision in establishing the GoldBod, even though we did not begin the full implementation of that mandate in 2025, we were able to contribute substantially to the volume of gold that we aggregated as buying agent for the Bank of Ghana in ways that the PMMC, our antecedent, could never do and never did. And that was because of the effective aggregation system, the competitive pricing, and the other measures we introduced in 2025. And so we talk about the quantum of gold we were able to buy because of how we were able to plug leakages, intensify the fight against smuggling, reduce gold that was going out through informal channels and all that. That is what we talk about. And so let them get the facts correct. Then they talk about what commercial risk was GoldBod bearing under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, is it easy to be giving 133 billion Ghana cedis in a year, cash, bank transfer money, to buy gold in the market and not burn 1 cedi of that? Can our former board chairman of ECG, Afenyo Maken, under whose tenure in 2024 the ECG recorded a loss of 8.2 billion, boast of such competence? The answer, I believe, should be obvious. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is the GoldBod's official position on this issue of domestic gold purchase program losses? Because somebody may get the impression that because we are defending ourselves against a lie peddled against us, then it means that we are saying, oh, Bank of Ghana is to blame, or we are throwing Bank of Ghana under the bus. No, that is not the case. The position of the GoldBod has been stated by my good self, my humble self, time without number, that the losses recorded by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program since inception, not just in 2025, is not because of mismanagement or incompetence by the current managers, but those losses are a product of policy design. It was the MPP that designed the domestic gold purchase program that way, that they will not pursue profits, but they will pursue foreign exchange, because at the time they had no access to the capital market to borrow on the Eurobond market and bring in dollars to show up, the currency. So they chose foreign exchange over profit by policy design. And that is why since 2021 that program never made profit. And that is why they announced in the year 2022 November that effective January 2023 they were going to buy gold at spot prices. It was the MPP that introduced spot gold purchases in Ghana. And I dare anybody to challenge me. Because before 2023, gold was bought by private individuals, foreigners and locals, and they bought it between 1% discount to 2% discount. But in desperation for gold, the then government decided that we will buy gold at spot price. And that is contained in this report by Graphic Online, dated November 2028, 2022, and attributed to the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who announced the policy. Who buys gold at spot price and yet seeks profit. So that was their policy design. It was not for profit, and that is why they never made profit. But as they made losses in the past under they will pay gold for oil and all that, Ghanaians did not see any commensurate economic benefits. What we are saying is that in the case of the Bank of Ghana, yes, the loss may be bigger because according to the IMF, the program was scaled up, it was expanded. Not because somebody stole money or somebody was incompetent. But in this case, you see measurable, economic benefits, unprecedented currency appreciation of 41%, which led to inflation coming down for 12 consecutive months. You saw a drop in the public debt by more than 100 billion Ghana cedis and significant savings to the government. That is what we are saying, that this was the price the Bank of Ghana had to pay under this program, poorly designed by the erstwhile government, for the stability we enjoy. We are not saying that somebody at the Bank of Ghana has done anything wrong. So let's get that clear. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a call for a parliamentary probe, and I've already stated on public record that I'm waiting with bated breath for Afenyo Markin's invitation. And I don't know why he's delaying and holding press conferences when, as minority leader, he can get the Public Accounts Committee to summon me tomorrow or today, and I will appear. I saw him dabbling in some confusion about standing orders of parliament and the fear that the majority may oppose a call for a probe into this matter. Well, I have, in all humility, reached out to the new majority leader in Parliament, Honorable James Agaga, and I pleaded with him that even if Afenyo delays in extending this invitation, he should extend the invitation to me. And I'm ready to come tomorrow. You don't need any special motion. You don't need any special order by the Speaker. Just get Public Accounts Committee to invite us. And come and sit down there and come and demonstrate to the whole nation where the GoldBod made losses or how the GoldBod is to blame for losses made by another institution. We are waiting for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I want to urge you, our friends in the media, in all humility, and the Ghanaian public, to hold Afenyo Markin and others who make allegations about GoldBod losses to the strictest standard of proof, particularly in the light of the detailed facts I have placed before you today. Let me state that the persistent noise from people like him does not arise from any genuine quest for accountability or any sincere desire to interrogate the operations of the GoldBod. Rather, it is a part of a calculated smear campaign aimed at undermining the significant contribution GoldBod is making to the economic transformation agenda of President Mohammed's administration. The likes of Afenyo Markin simply cannot reconcile themselves with the transformational work of GoldBod because they appreciate the important role it has played in the historic appreciation of the Ghana cedi and the significant strengthening of Ghana's international reserves, developments that are contributing to improved economic conditions for the Ghanaian people. Afenyo Markin's continuing antics, and I want you to listen to me very carefully here. Afenyo Markin's continuing antics must therefore be seen for what they are: a desperate smear campaign by persons who have specialized in sophistry and political blackmail in pursuit of selfish ends. These are devious extortionists who will come at you with lies to tarnish your reputation in the hope that you will fold and settle for what they call, quote, compulsory arbitration and oil their palms. Well, this time around, they found their own target. The Ghanaian people deserve serious public discourse founded on facts, evidence, truth, and not endless recycling of falsehoods in the hope that repetition will lend them credibility and turn fiction to facts. GoldBod will remain focused on its mandate. We will continue to account transparently for our stewardship, and we will not be distracted from the important work of creating value for the Ghanaian people from the exploitation of the good resources of our beloved nation. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, thank you very much. Shall we have some silence, please? I need to remind you that this is a very formal function, so we normally do not entertain clapping or any form of noise from the audience, so please take note of it. After that exhaustive presentation, we'll delve straight into a question and answer session. Normally, this program would be over in an hour, but given the importance of the issue at hand, we are holding an extended version. So if you have any question, I would invite you now to come to the microphone on my left and state your name, which media house you represent, and limit yourself to one question in order that we are able to maximize the opportunities that we have. So if you have a question, please walk up to the microphone now, please.
Good morning. My name is Shadrach Odami Ejari, Metro TV. My question is one key goal of the GoldBod, I stand to be corrected, is to stop gold smuggling and formalize small-scale mining. Now, what concrete measures has the GoldBod put in place at entry point, especially when we have identified some porous entry borders and buying centers to ensure small-scale miners get fair prices? And how many metric tons have they been able to stop from being smuggled out since they started their operations? And we know there have been some arrests. If we can get some update on that.
Thank you very much, Odami. Please move to the microphone now if you have a question, so that we save time.
Good afternoon, fellow Ghanaians, and to Mr. Sammy Gyamfi and GoldBod.
No lengthy preambles. Go straight to one question.
There is this story, I think about last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, in respect to an individual who purchased the gold, sold it to one aggregator, and another person came in saying that the gold was given to another person to sell to another person, which has created a whole lot of issues with the GoldBod. And this buyer or seller of gold or something, Raymond something. I want clarification on that and the next step into that. And respectfully, this is not a question. Now, makola for nene kantamanto mano, especially kumasi jumkediti amano, omon tedi ni yeki king, yenchrechi mochi, na etina, and na fino markets or cabro for pano, and odichi trechi and semu, senya beya, clarity will be made. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kamala Krisha, I work at TV3. About 2 questions for you. How do we take advantage of the record gold prices to generate meaningful fiscal revenue from the small-scale mining sector to support the development needs of the country? Then 2, semantics about the losses does not dispel the fact that there are losses. Shouldn't that be the concern? How is the GoldBod working to ensure that the amount that amounts to enough right on your books is not as recorded as of last year? And then the final one, a criticism is the model being used for the purchase of gold. Has that model changed this year? And why must we continue to provide discounts from a sector which we should see reaping its own windfalls?
That will be the question.
The last one?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that the criticism is the model being used for the purchase of gold. How has that changed this year, and why must we continue to provide discounts from a sector which should have been reaping its own windfalls?
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ashford. So you will be the 4th questioner. We'll take a final one after you, and then come.
Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Ashford Wedu. I'm with Radio Gold. Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, I just want to find out from you. This is not the first time such allegation is coming up. And I want to find out if you feel jittery, you feel intimidated, and threatened, especially when the minority said the bail term is going to be high in other cases. What again will be the support that you will need from the general public, Ghanaians? I mean, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we'll take a final question in this round.
Good afternoon. My name is Romeo Tete, and I report for Ahonto 92.3 FM. My question is on the National Assay Laboratory. Will it independently verify every shipment of gold leaving Ghana, including gold produced by the large-scale mining companies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Sammy Gyamfi will answer these questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The first question was about the mandate of the GoldBod to fight gold smuggling. The questioner wanted to know what we have done about this. A lot of the successes we have chalked so far in terms of the significant increase in ASM gold exports from just about 63 metric tons in the year 2025 to 104 metric tons in the year 2024, to 104 metric tons in the year 2025 is as a result of the tightening of anti-smuggling compliance measures by the GoldBod. As you may be aware, President Mahama tasked us to establish a special task force that will focus on the fight against smuggling. This task force has been put in place. The President himself inaugurated it sometime last year. And even though we have some numerical challenges at the moment, we currently have over 150 members of this task force deployed across the 30 mining regions of Ghana, who on a day-to-day basis patrol the gold market. They are also in touch with security officers manning various entry and exit points. We collaborate with a lot of these security agencies like NACOP, who have men at all entry and approved entry and exit points, and the Ghana Immigration. And through this collaboration, I'm sure, as you've seen in the media, we've made a lot of arrest and seizure from suspected gold smugglers. So these enhanced compliance measures have really helped us to increase the quantity of gold that is exported through formal channels. Since 2025 January to date, 170 metric tons of gold is what we've been able to mop up. There is nothing like that. Totally unprecedented. That is why Ghana today is not only the lead producer of gold in Africa, but number 6 in the world. And the difference this time around is that we are not just doing well on that ranking, but that good ranking is translating into repatriated FX, which is now supporting FX market stability. And until, as I say, dollar abusua ubiye pibia wunyebino na dollar bo abafomwa ama Ghana foso yehon high. So that is what we have done in that area. There are different cases that are in court, and after the program we can give you the detailed updates because the cases are many, and due to time constraints I will not be able to give you updates on all the individual cases. But thank you very much for your question. The second question I wanted to know about the McWood case, which is similar to the Dominic Bonsu case. And these are criminal cases being prosecuted by the GoldBod in the High Court. But we are not prosecuting these people because they have stolen GoldBod money. That is what you must understand. So in law we say that criminal offenses are acts in rem. Means they are acts against the rem, acts against the state. But several cases are what? Acts in personam, acts against a person. So when you see the prosecution of a crime, it doesn't mean that the one prosecuting is the one who has been offended. It means that the one being prosecuted has violated a law, the law of the country. So there are gold-related offenses spelled out under the GoldBod Act. And if you're a gold trader and you violate that, you'll be prosecuted, whether or not the money involved it belongs to GoldBod. This is the statement of accounts between the GoldBod and its license aggregator, Bower Rock. For 1st January 2026 to 31st July 2026. It shows that Bower Rock doesn't owe GoldBod a peswa. Rather, we owed him and we have had to pay him. And as I speak, we owe him over 500 million Ghana cedis in program cost alone. So nobody has absconded with our money. Because when we give money to aggregators, the aggregators give us an advance payment guarantee from credible insurance companies and reinsurance companies. And in some cases, those that we call retrocessionaires. They are reinsurers of reinsurers. And these guarantees protect the funds we give them so that should anything happen, the GoldBod has a remedy. We've not had to make any claim under that guarantee because our aggregators have fully settled all the outstanding obligations. But if you go and take their money in breach of trading regulations and the GoldBod Act, and they lodge a complaint with us. It's like somebody going to the police station to lodge a complaint. We will investigate and we'll prosecute you. So you will hear that we are in court with some licensed traders because they have misappropriated or are unable to account for funds given them by an aggregator. It doesn't mean that the money belongs to the GoldBod. That is the explanation I have for you. Then, number 3, what is the GoldBod doing for Ghana to achieve revenue for development from record gold prices? Kluchi, the answer is the GoldBod. Without the GoldBod, this record high gold price we are currently witnessing would have eluded the country, because the chunk of the gold would have left the shores of Ghana through informal channels, through the Togo border, through a Lubo border. The effects would not have come back, and the revenue that Ghana ought to have gotten would not have come. And that is why President Mahama established the GoldBod. You recall the Gold Mafia documentary of Al Jazeera, in which one foreigner called, is it Alester Matthias, indicated that at the time in 2024, at the time before GoldBod, he could smuggle as much as $40 million of gold out of Ghana every month. And he claimed he was let me not talk about that. So, imagine now having an entity who has to buy all that gold, the sole buyer and the sole exporter. And all these people cannot do that. They all must come to the GoldBod. So don't be surprised when you see people attacking the GoldBod the way they do, because those people have not stopped fighting us. They are not happy with the status quo. So they will contract agents and induce them to fight this patriotic cause. But let us be very alert to some of these things so that we are not hoodwinked. Now, semantics. How is the GoldBod working to prevent loss? Yes, nobody is saying that there's not been a loss. But be factual about it. You can't say that Cuckoo Board has incurred a loss and that loss should be blamed on TV3. And if TV3 issues a statement to say that we didn't make the loss, it is Cuckoo Board loss, then we say it is semantic. That is not semantics. Because a lot of public institutions and public officers in this country have been denigrated, their reputation damaged on the altar of lies. And because they did not rebut those lies in good time. And that is why we have decided not to wait for these repeated, tired, false narratives to become truth in the minds of the unsuspecting public. And we have to set the record straight. So it's very important that it's not semantics. And number 2, you say that what are we doing? The solution is a GoldBod model. You see, Bank of Ghana is a central bank. They were not established to trade gold. It is not their core function. They don't have a gold trading department like the GoldBod established by Mahama has. And that is why the nation builder, in his vision, saw the need to entrust this gold purchase arrangement to a specialized agency with specialized powers, specialized functions, and resources, which would be called the GoldBod. So since March, we've been trading gold in the proper sense of gold trading. We don't only buy physical gold, we trade derivatives. And we trade gold 24/7. And so far, we've not made any losses. In trading, you can make profit, you can make losses. You just ensure that at the end of the financial year, the overall profit is more than your losses. But we have not even made any losses yet. If we had, we will concede, and we will not allow anybody to foist on us losses that we have not made. And so, you ask how different is our trade model from the domestic gold purchase program. Number 1, unlike domestic purchase program where gold was bought based on live prices, which doesn't allow the buyer to plan and to know at any given time gold that is bought and the accurate cost price for the gold. The GoldBod has a new pricing mechanism. We use LBMA AM, LBMA PM, 2 pricing windows. That brings predictability and certainty. It allows us to know real-time gold that is bought for us and the accurate cost price so that you cannot increase the cost price. And the GoldBod is also allowed under the GANRAP to hedge. Bank of Ghana was not hedging gold. We engage in hedging. We engage in derivative trading on gold futures. You understand? So there are many things that we do. For example, in how Bank of Ghana sold gold. Bank of Ghana will get agents to buy gold for it, including PMMC GoldBod, within T+4. Once the gold got to Accra, it had to be exported. Whether or not the price had dropped or the exchange rate had appreciated, they will export, because their focus for that program was bring the FX in, because the nation was in crisis. But under the GoldBod, we don't do that. We can give you gold, and for 1 year, we will not fix the price. Our offtake agreements, you can come and see, provides for that. We can give you gold, take 85% of the prevailing value, and defer price fixing for up to a year, which we can even renew. We can sell gold to you even before we deliver the gold to you. We call it sales in advance of shipment. And we can sell gold upon shipment. All these mechanisms were not present in the actual domestic gold purchase program. And that is why President Mahama established GoldBod, and that is why in March 2026 we have now begun the full implementation of this mandate. So you can be rest assured that the same challenges that plagued the domestic gold purchase program and led to recurring losses from 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025 will not be repeated under this new GoldBod model. Then I believe the final one is whether I'm jittery. Well, I believe you should know me better. My good brother Felix says something. He says politics is a contact sport. So when you are involved in politics, you are involved in boxing. You should be ready for tackles. You should be ready for punches. And some of us are vaccinated against political mischief. We've taken the vaccine, so we are not worried at all. But what I want to say is this. If the one under whose tenure has board chairman as ECG, you know, where ECG recorded a loss of 8.2 billion, is not facing any onerous bail terms. And how can Sammy Gyamfi, under whose tenure the GoldBod has exported 170 tons of gold through former channels and brought into this country over 17 billion United States dollars in 1.5 years, face onerous bail terms? Under your tenure, not a gram of gold produced in Ghana was refined in Ghana. Today, over 9 metric tons just this year of gold we have bought refined in Ghana. We are changing the value addition story. So you see, such statements are reckless. They are what I call the fanciful efficiencies of, you know, of a palm wine bar. You take it as comic relief. And it is very sad. You see, when we say this, he says we are not insulting him. This is somebody occupying the seat once occupied by the Venerable G.H. Mensah, the Venerable Papa Woezor Nkrumah, or Seiche Mensah Bonsu. Look at the depth and the substance of these personalities. When they rose to speak on Parliament, look at the command they commanded across the aisle. And look at how this seat has now been so bastardized and depraved by a noisemaker who cannot even read and research and get his facts right. So I will go to prison in his brain, and I will have onerous bail terms in his brain. I'm not afraid of any intimidating tactics, because we are serving Ghana in good conscience, and our resource and posterity will speak for us. Thank you very much.
Let me caution once again against applause. Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? This is very much a formal program, so no noise or applause are permitted. If you are satisfied by the responses, do not show any emotion, lest they be picked up by the camera and distort the hearing of listeners and viewers. So please bear that in mind. Yes, Echo, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much. My name is Echo Moses. I correspond for Bloomberg. Honorable, if I heard you right, the so-called losses are not attributable to GoldBod, but the inference is attributable to the Bank of Ghana. And with the knowledge of this trading thing, would you call those things losses per se? Or what really would you call them? And then my second thing, would you think that will ease in the event, now that the central bank has stopped seed financing, would that losses be affected in any way, shape or form? My second issue has to be the setup of GoldBod. She said that by the setup, you're supposed to raise your own money to run your own business. In comparison with GoldBod, they buy but sell the cocoa themselves. Does it mean that GoldBod is also then selling the gold itself? If it's not, is the Bank of Ghana the one selling? Therefore, then the excess losses and what have you comes in. A bit more clarity there will help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll take 4 more questions in this session as well. Yes.
Good morning. Okay. Please, good morning. Salamat Kukwapinto. I'm with the Despite Media. My first question had to whether or not GoldBod is committed to, in a regular manner, publish its sales, purchases, export volumes, prices, and financial performances for public consumption. The second had to do with, based on his last comment, I wouldn't want to, but I want to find out from him that there is this argument on socials that Mr. Gyamfi here contributed hugely to the loss of NPP, and then for that matter them being in opposition, and so whether or not he was appointed to GoldBod or not, some of these calculated attempts to thwart his work at GoldBod would come off, or to debt his person. So I want to find out from him how he would respond to some of these arguments.
I believe he answered that. Meles Inawe once famously said that politics is not a picnic in the park. He understands that fully. He has no bearing at all on his work. The very tall Hanan requires help to pull up the microphone. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess I'm the tallest in the room. Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And my name is, from EIB Network, my name is Abdel Hanan Adam. I am the innocent one. Minister, I want to find out from the GoldBod. There are arguments and suggestions everywhere that the turnaround that we are seeing at GoldBod is as a result of the institution buying gold from illegal miners or galamseyers. And the question always is, how do we trace this gold that we are buying and selling or exporting? So even though the institution had already indicated that it is finding it difficult to trace some of this gold, and arguments still come that majority of it is from galamseyers, how soon should we expect GoldBod to be able to come out with data actually giving us specific traces to where they are buying their gold? And my second question has to do with...
I'm afraid after this I'm going to have to restrict all of you to one question. Our time is very fast spent already.
Okay, my second one has to do with regulation and operation. There are suggestions that the GoldBod should operate like the National Petroleum Authority in the oil sector, where it only regulates. And I want to find out from Mr. Sammy Gyamfi whether this is viable for his operation going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nanama, Mejidis Obeketri.
My name is Nkechi. Nana Meja Kunyeti. Okay. And my question is about land reclamation.
No reactions.
Land reclamation. And Chebiana who says Shaman Boy, GoldBod set 35 million Ghana land reclamation, and then agreement on the defense ministry in signing. Yeah, and so there's amount involved. So my question is say the land Emma miner say uncle to gold, no to gold no. That's assassin say yeah, who bear the cost? State Jumana oil no, ye trace kebi from the amount that the state gets from the miner, you trace a kebi free muse, ye de kwakoye land reclamation. Say ni parako to gold ni bury asaya assassino. Now if state in the cost say GoldBod say 35 million Ghana cedis, yenfankoye land reclamation. To be same we say a miner no and also to can I say state in the also bear cost because of say miner no etua revenue be devastating. The question I don't know.
What's your boss over question as work about for cinema?
Thank you so much. My name is Seth Cobbins, LLM Natural Resource Student, Legon. Let me speak it.
So, in what capacity do you ask a question?
It's a natural resources oriented.
It's a briefing for media persons.
So it's natural resources oriented. So actually, I also want to make
file the rules must be strictly enforced. It is not open to members of the general public. It is open only to media persons. If you have any other question in any other capacity, please write to the GoldBod for response.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So please take a cue, those of you who have lined up. If you are not a media person accredited, I will not be able to take your question. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Eko JB. I want to find out, in Mr. Sammy Gyamfi's submission, he made statement on the fact that they've made losses.
You've not identified yourself, the media house.
JB Isaac, on your TV.
All right, go ahead.
They've made losses in the past, in previous times. I want to find out if GoldBod, no, the previous administration, okay, there were losses. So I want to find out if the state or GoldBod is interested in those losses, and what are some of the interests they will develop in that particular losses.
I thought that you represent a tree station, and so your question.
And I when they.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, Austin. Yeah. So Austin, you'll be the last in this session before we go for a final round. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Austin Wood, and I'm host for Morning Star. On the 3rd of March 2025, in an interview on Asempa FM, I quote Sammy Gyamfi: "The domestic gold purchase program introduced under the NPP was a good thing, but the biggest challenge they didn't deal with was buying the gold at Forex Bureau rate, and when we are bringing back our receipts, we'd have to write it in Bank of Ghana reference rate. It's a reset. You've had enough time. According to the IMF, 50% of the losses was because of this, the difference. Why couldn't they have done or changed it so that by end 2025 these would have reduced, but they still continued with it till end of year? And the finance minister says that Ghana up, we are building 15 months of reserves. GoldBod with this new thing, Bank of Ghana is out. If only Bank of Ghana is buying from the big scale or big large scale miners, we will not be able by end 2028 meet that 15 months. How will GoldBod buying it give it to Bank of Ghana, and Bank of Ghana, will they pay for it? What is in place for that to happen?
Right,
thank
you very much. So Mr. Sammy Gyamfi will answer this set of questions, sir.
Thank you. There are a lot of questions, so I'll be very snappy. Number one, a cop wanted to know the losses we are talking about as having been made by Bank of Ghana. Are they really losses? Well, to the accountant, they are losses. That is why the IMF calls them accounting losses. But an accounting loss is not an economic loss. But because we are discussing this within the context of audited financial accounts of an organization, you can call it a loss. It's an accounting loss. But understanding that is important. That loss is not because of a fee, a lawful fee paid for assay or for services rendered, which are not free services. Neither is it because of a 1.2% discount offered the eventual buyer, the off-taker. Those are not the reasons. That is where we think the IMF got it, mischaracterized the issues. Those are what you call baseline program cost. Okay. But when you're talking about the accounting loss, I would say it's not even 50%. Over 80% of it is the difference between the Forex Bureau rate at which gold is bought and the fact that in Bank of Ghana's books, the dollar proceeds will be converted at Bank of Ghana rate. So today, let's say Forex Bureau rate. And Forex Bureau rate is not a paro rate. It's not a black market rate. It's a lawful rate because they are regulated by BOG. Let's say today, hypothetically speaking, because I've not checked, you need, say, 12.5 cedis to get $1 in a Forex Bureau. Under the domestic gold purchase program, agents of the Bank of Ghana were to buy it at this, we call it market rate or retail rate. Bank of Ghana is the one that says the agent should buy it at that rate. It is not the agent who decides the rate at which it will buy gold for a principal. You understand? But if the gold is sold and the dollar proceeds hit Bank of Ghana's account, the accountant at Bank of Ghana, in converting dollars into cedis, because the account must be in cedis, will not multiply it by 12.5, which is Forex Bureau rate. You will multiply it by Bank of Ghana rate, which will be around 11.1. So that book loss, you can call it that, accounts for 80 to 90% of what we are talking about. And we have explained this. The bank itself has explained this. Okay? If GoldBod was the one implementing this program, we would not have accepted this on our books, because we would have insisted for Parliament to pass the right laws that will allow the right treatment to be given that conversion. But because Bank of Ghana is a central bank, and all central banks are bound to operate with their own rates, their hands are tied. So that is the dilemma, or that is a difficult situation the bank found itself. And they knew this right from the inception of the program in 2021. This is not a new phenomenon. This is not something coming up today. Like I told you, in 2024, they were buying gold at as much as 17 cedis to the dollar. You understand? Even in 2025, the rate came down because the cedi appreciated. So the dollar came down. So things were better. Imagine we were buying gold at 17 cedis to the dollar. At the quantity we bought and at those prices, you could have imagined what the figures would have been. So that is what it is. It is not an economic loss. It's an accounting loss. The IMF itself calls it valuation effects. And if you want to know the meaning of valuation effects, just Google it. I Googled it now. AI tells me. So valuation effects refers to changes in the value of existing international assets and liabilities caused by shifts in exchange rates and asset prices. So you bought something at one exchange rate, the exchange rate you use to convert is different. That is what really the chunk of it is. Okay, and not because somebody there at the Bank of Ghana is incompetent or has stolen money. However, and Austin, I'll tie your question to it. So your question is, why didn't we stop? Why can't we stop this? Why are we continuing with it? The answer is simple. We have stopped it. No, the GoldBod was established in April 2025. So once you pass an act to establish a company, then the company will have departments, it will have task force, it will have market controls, and immediately begin to implement its mandate. Is that what you're suggesting? I'm not sure that is what you're suggesting. Because a baby must learn how to crawl before he walks or runs. You need time to set up an institution like the Ghana GoldBod. And it took us 9 months to do that and to get our funds to do that. Now that Bank of Ghana has exited, the IMF also mischaracterizes that. They say that they have transferred domestic good purchase program to us. Domestic good purchase program has not been transferred to GoldBod. We are not implementing domestic good purchase program. We are implementing our statutory mandate. And under that mandate, we buy gold at Bank of Ghana reference rate. Currently, we buy Bank of Ghana reference rate minus 10 pesos. We have moved the exchange rate determinant of local gold prices from black market under the MPP to Forex Bureau to now Bank of Ghana reference rate minus 10 pesos. You can go on our website now and check. And we've done this in just about a year. So we are not repeating that. Good. Now, are we interested in past losses? As I've explained to you, I'm sure the domestic good purchase program is being audited forensically by the Bank of Ghana itself from inception 2021 to date. Because under them, you didn't hear a lot about domestic gold purchase program. Who here remembers under the MPP in 2024, 2023, whether you heard any publications about losses under gold for reserves and gold for oil? It was all shrouded in opacity. And that is why when the governor went to the Bank of Ghana Public Accounts Committee and spoke about losses made under the program in 2024, the chairperson, Abnan Sari, said, Governor, give me evidence. She was challenging the governor that it is not in BOG's audit report, so it is not true. Until the IMF stated in their latest report that 2024 loss was $400 million. You see that they've kept quiet. So the Bank of Ghana, therefore, is auditing the program forensically from inception 2021 to date. And I'm sure that what was due to accounting translational effects will come out. And if anything was attributable to criminal conduct or negligence by anybody, it will come out in the audit. So let's wait for that. Then, is GoldBod selling its good itself? That is what we mean when we say that effective March 2026, the Gold Board is now implementing a statutory mandate. What that means is that, unlike in 2025, where we were merely a buying agent, just like Resafai, a private company, giving money to buy gold on agreed terms. Now, we are not Bank of Ghana's buying agents. We raise money. The money can come through BOG or commercial banks directly or from our off-takers. And we buy gold, and the gold is ours. We sell the gold ourselves under off-take agreements signed by us. And the dollars come into our bank accounts as GoldBod. And then we sell the dollars to the Bank of Ghana and commercial banks. So that is what we have been doing since March, April 2026. That's the difference. Good. Now, Salah, like Felix said, I answered your question. But let me just add this. He said people say that because of the role I played in opposition and all that. I'm not the only person who played a role in bringing the NDC to power. And I am not those who think that because of the role I played in opposition, I should be insulated or immune to criticism. Public officers must uphold the principles of probity and accountability. That is the underlying principle of the 1992 Constitution and a very key tenet of value of the National Democratic Congress that I belong to. So we embrace and welcome constructive criticism. When Kojo Opon Kroma, for example, criticizes GoldBod, I may disagree with him and say that he's not being factual. But it's not personal because he's making an intellectual argument. Okay, if somebody like Abner Sari say criticizes GoldBod, you can see that poor woman, he doesn't have the information. It's not personal. It's not personal. She doesn't have the information. You understand? If Anta criticizes GoldBod, all of them have criticized us in the past. We've not done a press conference. It is their entitlement. They are entitled to the opinion because they don't make it personal. You've not heard any of them talking about, hey, any bail conditions, you understand? But when you hear that guy speaks, you know that there is a problem. This is personal. So we are not saying that we are above criticism. No, we accept and embrace criticism because it is at the heart of public service. Land reclamation. This is one of the issues that His Excellency the President is very, very passionate about. It is true that when a concession is allotted to a miner, be it a small-scale miner or a large-scale miner, there are requirements under the mining regulations of Ghana for them to undertake reclamation of. They must cover pits, they must plant trees, and in some cases, they are even asked to post environmental bonds by the EPA. And therefore, the responsibility for reclamation lies at the doorstep of that licensed miner. But look, we've been mining gold for over 126 years. And we all know that the enforcement of this reclamation requirement has been a challenge. And yet, GoldBod, that is barely 2 years old, must confront these age-long problems, these decade-long problems. But we are not going to make excuses. We are not going to say that these problems predate us, so we are going to fold our arms and just lament. So President Mahama is saying that even though GoldBod, you didn't cause the damage, because I have now set you up, and you are now operating effectively, and you are supposed to make profits from the gold you are buying and selling. When you make the profits, there is something called corporate social responsibility. Go to the areas that the lands have been devastated without reclamation, and use part of your profit to reclaim those areas. That is why we went to Samreboy, Tano Nimiri Forest, and currently we are reclaiming 50 hectares. We have engaged the Engineers Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Forestry Commission. We are paying them over 35 million Ghana cedis for that as part of phase 1. And next year, President Mahama says we should cover at least 150 hectares of degraded forest reserves. And we are going to do that next year. So it is not our obligation, it's the obligation of the miners, but you cannot say that because that has not been done over the years, nothing should be done. And that is why GoldBod is a very important intervention that we must all support. Because if you didn't have a gold board, who will be reclaiming Apaprama and Tanon? Who will be doing that? The private people will not do it. And we have to always rely on donor funds for these reclamation projects. Now, traceability, an issue that keeps coming up, Galamsey gold. So, since Ghana started producing gold, that gold has always had a market. That gold has always been bought. And it was being bought by private individuals, and we're all in this country. And nobody said anything. And private individuals who were foreigners and Ghanaians bought this gold and exported it. Until the MPP government in 2021 decided to now go into gold purchasing. And when they went into gold purchasing through the Bank of Ghana and aggregators of the Bank of Ghana like PNMC, under gold for oil, gold for reserves, they were buying gold. Nobody even spoke about who they were buying the gold from. It was never an issue. Then GoldBod comes in 2025, and all of a sudden somebody says that, oh, the reason why Galamsey is going on is because of GoldBod. Did Galamsey start in 2025 or 2026? No. Gold will always and has always had a market. Okay? Now, GoldBod has a buying system for buying gold. And that buying system is that we go through private licensed entities to buy the gold from miners. Now, we have told these people in their terms and conditions that buy gold from licensed miners. How do you check if that is being done? The only way you can check is through the use of technology. That is what we call traceability. And this technology has been non-existent in Ghana for decades. But I'm happy to tell you that under the direction of His Excellency President Mahama, we are now involved in a national competitive tendering process, which will be concluded this year, and will allow us to acquire a modern traceability system, which will help us to trace every ounce of gold we purchase as GoldBod to their mines of origin. So once that system now is rolled out, then we will be able to know the sources of the gold. And then Parliament can pass a law as to what should happen to Galamsey gold. Whether that gold should be rejected and we should allow the people to smuggle it, or we should confiscate it, or we should buy it at a punitive discount. We'll go to Parliament for Parliament to pass that law. But for now, if Sammy Gyamfi sits in Accra, CEO of GoldBod, and his aggregator brings him 20 bars of gold, 5 kilograms each. If you hold a 5 kilogram bar of gold, can you with your naked eye tell where that gold, the components of that 5 kg bar, and which parts of the country or which mine it came from, for you to say I will reject or accept? No. And that is why we need technology. Nobody has done it. Those who did good for oil, good for reserve didn't do it. President Mohammed's GoldBod will do it this year. Thank you very much. Now, the final one is on GANRAP. Austin, GANRAP aims at accumulating foreign reserves of 15 months of import cover. The finance minister calls it building shock absorbers for the economy, so that in the day of exogenous shocks like COVID-19, Russia, Ukraine, we will not be lamenting and making excuses. So we are preparing for what the Bible calls the evil day. So that is what we are doing. But we are not doing that only from large-scale gold purchases. When we talk about reserves of 15 months of import cover, we are not talking about gold reserves. We are talking about foreign reserves. And that reserves is either in gold or in United States dollars. So what the GoldBod is doing helps us to increase the reserves in US dollars. Because the dollars we bring, part is sold to commercial banks so that BDCs and all importers and businesses who need dollars can get that. The remainder is added to the reserve to shore it up. You understand? And then gold that is also bought is also kept in the reserve because gold is a reserve asset. So through the combination of GoldBod's AF
when it comes back,
but
which one is certainly not coming back. So we'll take three last questions, and that will be it for today. Okay. It will be answered. It will be answered. Yes.
Okay. So my name is Kesta.
Please keep it short.
My name is Kesta Crunchy. I write for the Daily Graphic. The report that mentioned the surplus that GoldBod had, I have read it. There is only one thing that I think I will flag: the revenue you were supposed to pay to GRA the 36 million, which has not been paid. I wanted to know if, as at now, you have paid it or not. And then can I ask the next one? Because you said we had one.
This one, I would allow.
Okay.
You are welcome.
Okay.
You fall under my auspices, so. Exactly.
So, Mr. Gyamfi, because that is flagged, and I wanted to know if you have paid for it. In the future, are you going to keep on withholding such monies from us? Because if you read the report, it said that it denied government money to execute its projects. And you are making surplus and you are denying us money. I don't think that is fair.
I'm sure the GRA will be extremely pleased with your intervention. Yeah, Akosia, the floor is yours.
Akosia, report for City FM, Channel 1 Television. So, now that the Bank of Ghana financing has ended and you're forced to depend on commercial banks and off-takers, you say, I want to find out from you what if these off-takers and commercial banks see some risks in there. It could be for various reasons, maybe operational risk, liquidity risk, and they decide to pull out. What alternative does the GoldBod have?
Thank you very much. So the last word, as far as questions are concerned, will go to the Woezor TV correspondent.
Hello, my name is Belinda Alan Kwanzaa from Woezor TV. You said GoldBod's new model is not anchored on BOG's financing, with the act allowing it to raise funds from financial markets, investors and off-takers, like Akosia said. How much has GoldBod raised or generated from these sources so far, and what has been the financial outcome of this funding model? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me start with the last question. In terms of funds that we have raised, between March and May this year, under our model to raise advances from off-takers, we were able to raise close to 839 million United States dollars on our own from off-takers to buy gold. And all that dollars was sold to the Bank of Ghana. 839 million United States dollars that we sourced from our off-takers into our bank accounts at Bank of Ghana, which we offloaded, the FX we offloaded to the Bank of Ghana at the Bank of Ghana reference rate under a forex sale agreement between Bank of Ghana and GoldBod. So that is with off-take advances. Then you have our program to raise money directly from the commercial banks. Because this whole talk about Bank of Ghana financing GoldBod, you need to understand that it doesn't mean that Bank of Ghana goes and take its own money and give it to GoldBod to buy gold. You see, there is something called intermediation. And intermediation means that there are businesses and individuals in Ghana who need foreign currency dollars to transact business. And economic activity is not able to generate the supply of that dollars in the banking system to meet that demand. So the Bank of Ghana comes up with a beautiful program, intermediation, and says, commercial banks, if your customers need the dollars, take all their cedis and bring it to me, the central bank, as an intermediary. That is why it is called intermediation. As an intermediary, through an auction. And tell me that you want $50 million from your customers. Then Bank B will say, I want $100 million. Bank C will say, I want $10 million. And bring me that cedis from your customers. Then I will take it as a middleman. The Bank of Ghana is like a middleman intermediary. And I'll give it to GoldBod to convert the cedis into gold. Sell the gold for dollars. And when GoldBod sells the dollars to us, we will give the dollars to you. That is the process of intermediation. And that is what people think, that when we say BOG financing GoldBod, is that so good, but BOG is giving free money. No, it is a partnership. But what we are seeking to do this year is that we want a certain collaborative framework that allows the GoldBod itself to deal with the commercial banks directly without going through Bank of Ghana. And we want to do this through what we are calling a funded FX forward sales arrangement. We did the pilot on the 3rd of August. We raised $75 million from the commercial banks directly, and we settled it in 48 hours. In 48 hours, we were able to convert the $78 million into gold and into the CD equivalent, into gold and dollars, and we settled them in dollars. No losses. But the Bank of Ghana has some concerns. So the Ministry of Finance is working with us for us to get broad stakeholder inputs into the framework before we resume. That is why it is on hold. We also have another plank of that model where we use our own seed capital and the working capital of aggregators to buy gold, bring in dollars, and we sell directly to commercial banks. And through that arrangement, we brought in $164 million, and only 2 days ago, $270 million. So put that together, roughly, you're talking about over $450 million. Our activities generate a lot of foreign currency. So these are the different planks of the new funding model that now that the GoldBod is implementing the gold purchase program from beginning to end as buyer and seller and owner, these are the models we are exploring. Then there was a question from our sister that what if there are risks associated with this funding model and off-takers and commercial banks pull out, what will we do? Gold is a very risky, gold trading is a very risky enterprise. There are so many risks, but it behoves on every gold trading institution to put in place the necessary risk mitigation measures to manage the risk. And so we carry our stakeholders along. So far, so good. And we don't think that. We believe they have absolute confidence in our model. So far, we've received 15 letters from 15 commercial banks who have expressed interest that they want to be onboarded to participate in our funded FX forward sale arrangement. And we believe that more will join. So we don't think that stakeholders will pull out. Tax revenue. Please, let me state for the record before somebody reports that. Yes, governance is a continuum, so it's about GoldBod, we understand. But let's put the issues in their right perspective. That tax obligation had to do with PMMC's tax obligation in 2023 and 2024. Now, because of the transition, a certain audit had to be done, a certain tax audit had to be done for GoldBod to ascertain whether there were any outstanding tax obligations owed by the defunct PMMC to GRA. So that is why at the time, when the auditor came, they saw an outstanding of 36. We even thought that the figure could be different. So what we have done, in accordance with the recommendations of the Auditor General, is to write to GRA, asking them to come for a tax audit, so that we ascertain the accurate outstanding tax liability of PMMC, and then as the successor of the PMMC, pay that to the GRA. But as for GoldBod has no outstanding tax obligations to the GRA as at 2025, and 2026 we are up to date. We had a few days ago a few challenges with the system that is used to pay these things, and we've written to them on that. So thank you very much for that question. I believe, Honorable Minister, that I have done. Then, Salamatu, let me answer your question. Are we ready to publish data on our gold purchases, our gold sales, export volumes? The answer is yes. And in fact, we do publish this data on our website from time to time. We do publish that because the GoldBod Act is very stringent on transparency. We are required on a quarterly basis to publish our audited financials and management accounts and so on, as trade volumes and all that. And so we do. I will check if we are not up to date, and I will, if that is the case, I will instruct the Corporate Directorate accordingly for them to be up to date with those publications. And this year, 2026, at the end of the year, we will give the nation a holistic report on our activities. You will know the gold we bought. You will know its value in cedis, its value in dollars, the inflows that came into the economy in dollars. You will know the cost that the taxpayer through the Ministry of Finance bore for those purchases. You will know the cost that before GoldBod took over the trade, Bank of Ghana bore, we will tell you. And then we will tell you our P&L, whether we made profit or loss. And then we'll tell you the benefits that our operations generated for the country. So this year we are going to be very holistic in how we report on our activities by the end of year. And so, Honorable Minister, with your permission, I will just conclude by saying that we thank you, our friends in the media, for the continuous interest you've taken in the activities of the GoldBod and the collaboration you have always provided us. We consider you as very useful stakeholders in the important job we have been given under the Ghana GoldBod Act. And we will continue to ask for your support. We'll continue to ask for the support of the good people of Ghana. We have been given a task to rewrite Ghana's narrative about how our people have been hewers of wood and drawers of water, despite the rich mineral wealth we've been endowed with as a country. We want to move this country from extraction to real value creation, and into a mining economy where Ghanaians benefit from the good resources that God has blessed us with, because those resources are managed in ways that translate into tangible economic benefits that we can all see and measure. A lot is happening, and I hope to come back here, subject to the invitation of the Honorable Minister, for us to have a broader conversation about some of the milestones we are chalking in this endeavor and what the next chapter portends for the GoldBod. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sammy Gyamfi, for that exhaustive presentation, which should put paid to any falsehood or disinformation that may be spread about the activities of the GoldBod. And we are more than happy to host you anytime you are ready to shed further light on your activities. So until we come your way next week, thank you all for coming. Thank you.